Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the July 28th special the Lakewood City Commission. Can you call the roll, please?
Mayor Betty Resch.
Here.
Vice Mayor Christopher McVoy.
Here.
Commissioner Sarah Maliga is absent. Commissioner Kimberly Stokes.
Here.
Commissioner Ronaldo Diaz.
Here.
I'm here. Okay, I don't have an agenda in front of me, but do you have, do we have to pledge? Are we going to pledge?
Yes, it's led by Vice Mayor McVoy, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, I think we have a staff presentation.
You do. Good afternoon, Bruce Miller, Finance Director, for the record. Before you for consideration is an appropriation for $2,458,958. The source of funds for this appropriation is the pending sales tax. This represents the commitment that was made back in, I believe, 2020 for the Bohemian parking garage. The city was noticed for completion of the project on July 22nd. I am tired. July 22nd, just a few days ago. We have, according to the agreement, 10 days to pay the $2,000,004, and therefore the quick turnaround request for you guys to be here tonight. But most importantly, to turn the payment, we would like to do that tomorrow. There is language in the contract that has a 5-day grace period. But by the time we went back and forth, it was thought better just to pursue with a 10-day time frame and get the payment out tomorrow. Worst case on Monday, and Monday is the due date for the payment. So, unless you have any questions.
I'd like, hi, sorry guys. I'd like a little more, you're breaking up on my computer, unfortunately, a little bit, but have you said very plainly what this is for, when it was voted on, and where the money's coming from?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much? I forgot that, which you probably already said.
Yes, can you hear me now? Is this better? The amount.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Is for $2,458,000. Well, I'm sorry. Let me say this again. $2,458,958. It represents the first payment to the Bohemian parking garage. It's the funds are coming from pending sales tax. And it was payment is going to the affiliated development company. The approval of the contract was June 2020. Yes, sir.
Madam?
Yep, thank you. So June of 2020. And what's the total amount that we're going to be paying them over the years?
There's an agreement or a schedule of disbursements. Let me find that. There it is. So it's year one, $2,458,958. Year 2 through 8, $72,000. Years 9 through 35, $144,000. And then there are caps of additional expenditures of 50%, I believe, of the annual base rents.
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, if I say that question, Bruce, I just want to make sure we're clear. In the contract, it says 2, and then it jumps to years 9 through 35.
Correct.
So it doesn't mention years 2 through 8. So I'm assuming there's no payments required for year
And
3.
I would also ask, what is what the total amount with all the different years in? What's the total that we're going to be giving them?
That I have not compiled, Mayor.
What was the 9 through 35, 140 something?
The year 2, the exhibit E of the contract says year 1, 2,458,958. Year 2 of the contract says $72,000.
And then,
Years 9 through 35, $144,000.
all right,
And there's additional base rents that are not detailed or not known at this juncture. So there, I believe, are 50% of the base rents for years 2 through 35. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, this is for the parking garage.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
we talk about base rent, we're not talking about their rental units.
No, these are for the spaces.
So what is we're renting the spaces from them,
Correct.
but we invested $2.5 million.
Correct.
And then, so the year 2, when we are paying them 72,000, that's to rent the spaces. So even though we invested upfront $2.5 million, we have to pay them every year
Yeah.
for eternity to rent those spaces from them.
But it's also for maintenance and that type of thing. It's again, in theory, they're taking the risk to operate the facility. And the $2.4 million is the city's capitalization cost, the investment in the garage itself, and then the continuation of that are basically maintenance costs to operate that facility. And we'll be
So in 35 years, we'll figure out what the base rent is.
well, again, the base rent. The base rent, I mean, I can read you what the base rent equals to in the contract.
At year 35.
Yeah, but I'm going to step back a little bit. The reality is this contract was signed. Okay. We can get into a deep dive of the contract. Okay. Unfortunately, I was not part of the negotiations of that. But there's a $2 million for.
Let me, if you don't, let me butt in for a second, because that's exactly what I was thinking. This is a contract that none of us signed, but it is it's a contract that is signed and proper. And we have an obligation to fulfill this without questioning, is my understanding, Mr. Trisivia.
that may, with all due respect, Mayor, that may be true that, and I believe it to be true, that it's a contract that was made before any of us were on the commission. It is a legal contract between the city of Lake Worth, which we now represent. And so we have to pay up. That is fine. At the same time, it is perfectly reasonable for us to know on the public record, what are we getting and what is it costing us? Just so people know what the deal is. And this is a perfect.
I don't disagree.
So.
No, I don't disagree with you at all.
So I did a little fast calculations here and I missed 2 years, so I'm a little under, but 2 through 8 at 72,000 is $500,000. Another 26 years at 144 is $3.5 million. You're looking at about $4 million for that, plus the $2.5 million we're paying today, for a total of about $6.4 million. plus or minus a little, and I think I missed 2 years because I couldn't do the math.
Vice Mayor.
What I would like to know with that for our 6 million bill, is this going to be operated as a paid garage that you have to pay to park in it? Okay,
Yes, this is paid parking for 120 spaces.
so
And we get that payment,
Yes, that'll go
Yes.
through our parking
Fine.
service.
but it comes to the city, not to
It
the
comes-
developer.
Yes, for 120 spaces.
And right now the rate is $250 an hour. So I think I saw, or
I want to say 3
I'm going to say 3 honestly.
an hour.
and how many you said it was 120 spaces,
Plain says.
and that's the part that's fully accessible to the city?
That's right. The garage is built for 320 spaces. 120 would be allocated to the city.
I'd like to request and go on record as requesting that let's keep very detailed records of how this thing is used. So we know we need to have, when we're getting involved in these kind of monies, we need to have a return on investment type calculation. Is it getting used? What percentage, time of day, all that sort of stuff. Let's make sure we keep good data on it. Because we need to know that for future planning.
So their up 200 spaces are just for their residents?
Yes.
Okay, so if somebody wanted to go there and park there, that didn't live there, they would need to come to us and pay us. They can't just go over to their side and pay them.
I'm not quite understanding.
Well, I just want to make sure that if there's only a demand for 60 spaces, that they're not going to the Bohemians 60 spaces and our 120 are going unused.
I'm still not catching what you're saying.
So there's 320 spaces. So theoretically, if the first 200 have to get booked before they start coming over to ours, then nobody's ever going to use ours. I just want to make sure that their 200 spaces are for their properties. They're not going to be charging and collecting money off their 200 spaces. They would
200 spaces are dedicated to the residents of the
to the residents. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And
Yep.
then they're designated in the parking lot under parking structure.
Okay.
I definitely want to echo like the keeping track of it, because if this garage is underutilized or anything, like, it goes both ways, how is it being used, but also if there's room for improvement, like when we do, some sort of transit connection, including it on a route, like, if we have to pay this and we have to make use of it, let's make sure that it's used and we get our benefit from putting this money in for sure.
Madam Mayor. I'm obviously not the finance person because, Bruce is, and, he signed off on this, but a quick review in my memory is that, those 120 spaces are for sale to the public. And I believe that the city is installing some type of meter system so that we collect the revenue
That's
from
correct.
those spaces. So when, I think part of this concept a few years back was to drive parking into a public parking area, and the city would theoretically, and I haven't seen the pro forma on this, would theoretically collect enough money to offset what we're paying. But that's really in finance's
Right.
hands.
That's good to point out. Good to point out.
Yeah.
And I'll bet the residents have to go past the gate, Commissioner Stokes, to get in their area, so it's safe. So I don't think hopefully that won't be a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, what's up? What's our next move?
Madam Mayor, we do have one public comment
That was my question.
from Mr. Stowe, Richard Stowe.
Okay, great.
Good evening. My name is Richard Stowe. I reside at 414 of Federal Highway. I just want to point out that according to Commissioner McVoy's calculation of $6.4 million, we're talking about $53,000 per parking space. Yes, $3 an hour will offset that somewhat, but not nearly enough. Secondly, I don't think this is the best deal either for affiliated or for the city. I encourage the commission to be bold and table this motion and go into negotiation with affiliated to see if instead of like having those be 120 parking spaces, let's look at maybe like creating some more housing there. That was the whole purpose of the project. I think we got sidetracked with Mr. Bornstein's, the former city manager's vision of this being like some sort of like arts district, and that parking would be like a prerequisite for that to occur. I don't think anybody really thinks that it has any basis in reality. Stop this motion right now, this new business, by tabling it. Go back with affiliated and let's discuss what would be best for all affected parties, like all stakeholders, the public, affiliated, and the city.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
No, Madam Mayor.
I would like, I don't know if it was mentioned or not, but every day we don't pay this bill, we're accruing a $500 fine.
That's
Oh,
correct.
yeah.
Starting on August 6th. So they had to give us notice once the property had received a certificate of occupancy and was ready. So they gave us that notice. That gave us 10 days notice to pay. I think that went to finance on July 22nd. So our due date would be August 1st, but we have 5 grace days. So, there's no penalty if we didn't pay by August 6th.
Commissioner Stokes, are you thinking, are you coming at this with, we want to try to renegotiate this contract?
No, I don't think that they've already made the capital investment to build the parking garage and put it there. I don't see why the developer would be interested in redesigning that part of their property. And if we were to try to engage with them, I do agree with housing. We all know housing is a priority and we need more housing. But I think if we were to stop this and try to open up negotiations with them, I don't think that they'd be open to them. And we would just be accruing a $500 fee day obligation towards them, that they would be getting that money. So they could drag it out as long as they wanted. They're still earning $500 a day and the city's the one shelling it out. And I don't think that they would. If we were going to try to negotiate with them, I think it would have had to be before the structure was built. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm going to defer to Mr. Torcivia, of course, but, a contract was signed. If we start, I think number one, legally, what reason would we say now we're not going to stand by it? And it also is a very unfortunate, it would be an unfortunate position for the city to be in, to so now have this idea like, well, you can get a contract with Lake Worth Beach, but they may not want to follow up on it. So, perhaps on the next thing that comes, I think we're duty bound to approve this.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Sometimes you run into these things. So do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it. I would like to request that there's something that I'd like the city manager to read before we adjourn after we vote on this, if that's okay.
Does the city
I
manager?
don't understand, but
Okay, I'll get to that. Just didn't want us to blast out of here quite too quickly.
Okay.
all right.
Okay.
Mayor, if I
Yep.
may, Commissioner Maliga has arrived.
Oh, good. Oh, there she is.
Hands up.
Hi, Commissioner. Okay, so Commissioner Maliga, you've not been able to hear the discussion. Do you know what we're talking about? Oop, she's gone.
She disappeared again.
She did. She did. And if she's available, I think, the more the better.
Is she working it?
Maybe she has to reconnect.
Right. I think she's traveling, so that might have something to do with it. I'm not sure.
In the meantime, how's your knee?
Oh, it's an interesting experience to go through. Let's just say that. So, but thank you for asking. People have been very kind with Facebook and calls. It's lovely. It's very weird to be in the kind of life that we lead, and now I can't can't walk. I can't do stuff. So it's making me slow down.
Commissioner Maliga is back, Mayor.
Okay, good. Hi, Commissioner Maliga. Have
I'm
you been
sorry,
able?
guys. I
No, no.
apologize. I'm really trying to stay connected.
Okay. Are you aware of the item for the on the agenda item tonight for the approval of the money?
I have not heard all the details.
Okay. Well, perhaps Mr. Torcivia can give us kind of the legally where are we at with this? What's going on?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. About 2 years ago, the city entered into a lease with the Bohemian where we leased 120 spaces primarily for use of the public in
Correct.
the parking garage that they constructed. Under that agreement, we have our first lease payment is due August 1st with a 5-day grace period. And that first payment is $2,458,958.
Correct.
Mr. Miller, the finance director, explained that in year 2, the base rent is $72,000. There's no rent showing due for years 3 to 8. Year 9 to 35 is $144,000. Commissioner McVoy took out his napkin and did a back of the napkin calculation that were about $6.4 million total over the 35 years for those 120 spaces. It's our understanding that the city will be renting out those spaces through, I think, a meter system so that when people use the parking garage, the city will recoup revenue, hopefully enough to offset the cost of the lease over the 35 years.
Correct.
Thank you. So
Thank
there
you.
was a motion and a second, but I think
For
Mr. McVoy,
what was the
approval.
motion?
approval.
Okay.
I think Mr. McVoy wanted to say something before the vote, or do you want to just vote and then talk about something else after?
It's after.
Oh, okay. So I have a motion and a second. Do we have, can I have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Thank you. Passes unanimously. So, but before we all dash off, Mr. McVoy has a note, a long note that he wants the city manager to read.
Oh,
Sometimes things don't run perfectly in the city as far as, obviously this is an unusual situation. We have a normal requirement that if something is going to be voted on, it goes into the backup that has a certain schedule to it with, 10 days in advance or something. And the public gets to see it. So if they have any comments, they can make them. Or if they want to contact us, or if we want to do more research, whatever it is. In this case, things did not go quite that way. There's been some information that the city has been privy to for a long time that has not been made publicly available. And I do not want to be in a situation where we are making something available at a last minute sort of way. So what I'd like the city manager to do is read 3 things from 2 sheets of paper. So a total of 6 things. And I'll explain what the 2 sheets of paper are. These are labeled estimated costs to city over 10 years based on entitlement application 2/01/2022. So February 1st, I believe that is.
Related to what property?
This is in relation to the Gulf Stream. And
Okay, I want Glenn to be listening very carefully.
that's
Because
fine.
we're, okay, I'm very, but this, so yeah, okay.
And the two pieces of paper that I provided to the city manager are two spreadsheets that she provided to all of us. One in February, one in the middle of July, July 15th, recently. And as I mentioned, they are both labeled estimated cost to city over 10 years based on entitlement application of February 1st, 2022. The only difference between the two sheets is when they were estimated by city staff. Each of that, it goes through the letter of agreement or letter of understanding, I've heard it labeled both, between the city and the developer of the Gulf Stream. And there are two columns on it, a low estimate and a high estimate. So what I would like the city manager to read to us is and you can round it to 2 or 3 digits. I don't think we need every penny of it. The July 15 version, what is the low estimate of that cost to the city and what is the high estimate?
Vice Mayor, I'm sorry, the city attorney has his hand raised.
Okay. Oops, we can't hear him. He's on mute.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. If I could, Vice Mayor, could I ask you to have this notice for the August 2nd meeting? Because a special meeting is called for this one purpose, and we're supposed to stick to this one purpose. There's been no public notice that we're going to have any conversation about any other item, Gulfstream or anything else. So if we could add it to August 2nd, and perhaps the manager could put it in the backup, so at least the public has notice. And while I'm mentioning this, Carmen and I also talked about this meeting. We had about 25 or 26 hours notice of this meeting, and that may technically comply with the sunshine law, but we were going to put this item back on the agenda for August 2nd so you could see it in public, and if there were any additional public comments, you could at least hear that and perhaps even ratify what you did tonight about the Bohemian, because you try to, ideally you'd give 72 hours notice, but because of the due date of the payment and the time that the city received the notice, we had to call this special meeting on short notice. So if I could impose on you, Vice Mayor, to just maybe have the manager add this to August 2nd.
I think that's a very fair suggestion, and I agree with that. So, and I think your other suggestion that I don't know what the formal procedure, but I'm sure you know that we put this ratification of the Bohemian Agreement on that somehow or other, so people have a chance to see it also. And I think that's a sensible idea. And I'm fine with that we put these two spreadsheets, which are city products, as part of the backup for the August 2nd meeting, and that we read them at that time.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion. Thank you.
Okay.
On that note, I do have a quick question, I guess, for Glenn. This 10-day period was agreed upon, right? So if so, in the future, given the difficulty of scheduling a meeting within 10 days, I mean, can we shoot for 20 to 30 days from now on? 10 is just really stressful and short.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with Carmen. The more time we can get, the better. And particularly again tonight, we didn't get that notice till July 22nd, and the lease provided 10 days.
And to your comment and concern, very justifiable. But as we go forward, since the commencement date has started, this will be part of the annual appropriation process, and we'll get the appropriations done on a timely basis, and therefore everything will be done way further in advance, so we don't have to worry about the 10-day.
Yes, and we do want to apologize for having to create such a quick meeting, but of course we were trying to meet the financial obligations so that we would not put the city at risk of spending funds unnecessarily by having late fees. And so I appreciate your flexibility working with us. And yes, we will definitely in the future improve on our timeliness in getting items to you and making sure we're on top of those schedules.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it also really couples with maybe like a big phobia of mine, and with all of these development projects and agreements is truly stalling a project because we miss something administrative like a notice requirement or something. So that when we make these agreements to have more padding so that we can not get that close would be ideal. Last thing we need is to be challenged on meeting and missing notice or something.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Can we vote?
No.
No.
We need a vote.
We don't need a vote?
We do.
Oh, yeah. Is the mayor gonna call one? Is she there?
I'm here. Not the
Okay.
mayor. I don't see the mayor.
Should the vice mayor? Oh, somebody else has to second.
I second.
Okay. All right. So Stokes made the motion, Malega second, vice mayor called the vote.
And I believe that would be aye.
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 All right, we got 4 votes.
Do we have a vote for the appropriation?
Did we vote on the appropriation?
Yeah, we voted.
You did.
You did.
Yeah, it passed unanimously.
I think do this again.
Mayor, they voted to adjourn already.
I promised 15 minutes, not 36.
Okay, well, why don't you surprise me and tell me the outcome? What happened? I missed like the most critical 30 seconds.
The motion passed 5-0. The statement that Commissioner McBoy
And then what happened?
read is going to be read on August 2nd. We put on the
Okay.
agenda. And we
All right.
adjourn.
Oh, well, didn't miss much then.